And in just a minute, we will call the meeting to order. Well, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're joining us today. I'm Dr. Angela Demery, and I am your current president of the American Association of Food Safety and Public Health Veterinarians. And we will go ahead and call the annual meeting of our membership to order. So just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat box and we'll address them at the end of the meeting. Also, be sure to go to the website, make sure your contact information is up to date. We want to make sure we're able to stay in touch with our membership and with all of the great things that you are doing. So I wanted to take this time to thank and support those of you who are tirelessly working around the world and around the clock, sometimes putting yourselves in danger so we can seamlessly go about our lives and have safe food to eat and just generally be safe and healthy. Our members, as you all know, are on the front lines of food safety and public health, and not just figuratively, but also literally, doing the work that often goes unnoticed when a public health emergency has been averted or a safe and wholesome food supply is plentiful. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you to each and every one of you for the hard work that you do and for taking the time out of your day to participate in your association. We appreciate and value the contribution that you make each and every day. And it's important, it's necessary, and you are making a huge difference in this world. So in order to continue to have a thriving organization, we also need each of you to continue to participate, to encourage your colleagues to join and participate in our organization, as well as maintain AVMA membership. In order for our collective voice to be heard and amplified, we participate on several AVMA committees and councils, as well as the House of Delegates. This allows our small organization to have greater impact on policies that impact our daily lives, as well as support AVMA in their efforts to lobby on issues of public health and food safety significance. So you will hear from our members who are serving in these vital roles in just a few minutes. And I challenge each and every one of you to go to our website, ensure your dues are up to date, and reach out to one colleague to do the same. If each of us take this one simple action, we will have a thriving organization for years to come. And these are your officers for 2024. So a big thank you to past president, Dr. Donna DeBonis, our president-elect, Dr. Pamela Abney, our treasurer, Dr. Kelly Vest, and our recording secretary, Dr. Carrie Alexander. You know, their help and support has been absolutely invaluable to the organization this year, and I greatly appreciate your support over these past few years as well. And our governing board. Our governing board helps to make decisions about the direction of our organization. And as you can see, we have some very experienced veterinarians that have stepped up to take on these roles, and some new faces this year who we welcome to the board and thank each of you for all of your hard work. And a few more of our directors. I'm sure you recognize the names of some of these veterinarians as well. They've all contributed to veterinary medicine at large, and we're grateful for their participation at this level in our organization. I'd also like to take this time to thank Doctors Mike Gilsdorf and Leslie Brooks for their contribution to our organization and support of the profession by serving as a member of our board. We've enjoyed and valued their contributions, and they will be missed. And as you know, your recent ballots came via email, and you, our members, have voted on their replacements, and they will be installed at the conclusion of our meeting today. So Dr. Lewis will be installed as our president-elect. She's been active in our student outreach committee, as well as chairing that committee. And we welcome her as our next president-elect at the conclusion of today's meeting. Dr. John Sanders will be replacing Leslie Brooks as director representing the federal civilian sector. And Dr. Erica Tremuta-Drobnis will be replacing Dr. Gilsdorf as director of private and corporate sector. And now the report from our executive vice president, Dr. Waters.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Angela, can you put on the next slide? So I'm here just to give a quick recap of membership. Angela has spoken a little bit about the importance of membership to our continuing representation of this sector of our profession, both in the AVMA and for those of us that work in public practice and food safety and public health to have a voice. So membership, we have currently 350 veterinarians. These comprise our lifetime members, our active members, honorary members, and our new graduate or new ACVPM diplomat members. And we also have 39 student members. Just a quick update for those of you who might qualify for lifetime membership. There are some criteria that can be found on the website, but basically if you've been with us for 10 years and have reached the age of 65 or for certain qualifying reasons have retired, we'd welcome you to lifetime membership. And also, if you do know any new graduates who are interested in public health, One Health, food safety, public practice, we do have a complimentary 1-year membership to introduce them to the organization and then hopefully bring them on as active members after that 1-year period. Next slide, please. Also, and this is ongoing throughout the year, although I do send out emails periodically, we do invite certain members of our profession who have worked in the areas of food safety and public health to become honorary members in recognition, both for 2 reasons. One is to honor their participation in the profession and representation of our areas, but also we would like to make our organization more widely known and therefore have more impact and more membership, and inviting key members who work in that area who are not currently with us as honorary members is one way to expand our visibility. And there is a nomination form for honorary members as a button you can click on the website to nominate someone. And then we review those as a board and then extend honorary members to those individuals that we think would benefit from that. Next slide, please. Just a quick update. Seems like every year we update our bylaws because we either find something that's wrong or find something that needs updated. The changes in 2024 primarily dealt with when the bylaws were written, everybody was using regular mail for ballots. We sent out a printed copy of our newsletter. So as things changed, we had to change some of the language in the bylaws to reflect that we aren't using direct mail anymore, but use electronic communications for our business. And the members approved that bylaws changed by a vote a couple of months ago. Next slide, please. Angela talked a little bit about, and you'll kind of hear this as a recurring theme, but we do value our presence at the AVMA because we are really the only organization representing solely public health, food safety, and One Health. And that designation does give us a presence on the House of Delegates, food safety and legislative advisory committees, and the Committee on Antimicrobials. So the areas that the AVMA works in that relate to public health and food safety, we have a designated seat, and we find That's a very important role that we have to represent our organization on these either committees or councils within the AVMA. And just a quick note that we need 300 of our members must be AVMA members in order to maintain our status. And we welcome anybody to membership that is a graduate veterinarian and is interested in our area. But we certainly do hope that we attract members that are AVMA members to help us maintain that presence in those AVMA committees. Just the other list is just for you to read of the different organizations that, like ourselves, are considered constituent allied organizations. So some of them, like the federal veterinarians, have thousands of members. Others, like small ruminant veterinarians, are kind of more in our 300 to 400 member range. Next slide, please. So we have several standing committees. We have Kelly Vest with us here today, who is finance, Donna DeBonis, communication, Pam Abney and Angela Demery have been heading education, Jane Lewis, student outreach and scholarships. Jane is unfortunately not able to join us today because a flock of sheep decided to come down with scrapie in the area of APHIS that, the geographical area she represents for APHIS. So she said she sent her apologies. She'd love to have joined us, but unfortunately, sometimes those tests, are needed to help our producers stay in business. And we also have Will Sander. He is doing another presentation right now at this time. So I will give the Student Outreach and Awards parts of this annual meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, Kelly, unmute and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm glad to be able to be with you to look at how we've done this last year and our way forward for this next year. As you can see, and I'll mention some things concerning membership as we go through the finance and budget. Next slide. These are some of the active members that have helped in making some decisions. We meet a couple times a year and evaluate where we stand, usually in the mid-year, and then as we try to put together a budget for the next year. Next slide. So we a couple of years ago, we changed from a mid-year fiscal year to a full year. So we actually go from January to December, when previously we used to go from July to June. So, but we made that change a couple of years ago. And so the numbers that we present here will represent about 75% of this year. I'm at the point of kind of estimating how we're doing. Some of the things that we've have taken upon ourselves financially is race approved CE for our members. This is really a great opportunity for us to be able to participate and gain CE. It's part of your dues, and it's very helpful to our members. We work with the AAFSPHV and other organizations that are partnered with the AAFSPHV in order to get this CE. We also have some scholarships that we put out there. The LaFontaine Scholarship, which is represents Stan LaFontaine, who served many years on in our organization and has mentored many individuals, including myself, throughout our careers. While I was in the military, and even after I left the military, he continued to mentor me, and so it's been quite. We're really, I visited with his wife earlier this year, and she's appreciative of the opportunity to that we make to represent him at this point in time. So we also help with the AVMA, students going to the AVMA, and also others participating in the Veterinary Leadership Conference. And we kind of give opportunities to veterinarians to receive additional training and experience that is helpful for them, and hopefully for us as we help these individuals gain experiences and meeting with us as we go to some of these meetings that we support. We've also done a website upgrade, and you'll see as we go through that this website has many different tools and opportunities for us to use to communicate with one another, as well as to manage some of our business. Part of that is to invoicing our members annually and on their joining anniversary. I think it's important for us to know, and I think we had a little, this last year, we identified that there was a little glitch in the program, and we were unable to, some of the individuals didn't get their invoices. And so that is affecting us financially. Next slide. So this is where we stand at the, yeah. So this is where we stand at this time in September. You can see that we're sitting at about $13,000. We started at $13,800. We've our cleared income is at $5,000, and our expenses are at $7,000. So you can see that there's a differential there, and with that, our bank balance at the end of at least at this time is much lower than it was last year, or at the beginning of the year. Next slide. These are some of the expenses that we've had so far this year, and so we can see that we've reported so far of that $7,000. The things that kind of stick out here is our website monthly charge, and then we've also got the stipend that we pay for our editors and for our VP. So those are our big charges at this time. And then we also cover additional expenses for those to as far as travel expenses for the HOD representatives, and also for our AVMA VLC this last year. Next slide. As we look at next year and our estimated where we're going to stand, and we anticipate that our bank balance is going to be about $11,000 at the beginning of the year. We hope to be able to receive about $7,000 based on our membership at this point in time. And so our total amount available that we can basically spend is $19,000. Next slide. With that, you know, we really want to capture all the expenses that we anticipate will take place, payment for our newsletter as well as our EVP. We feel this is very important. Our web page management is got a close to $2,300 each year, and we're hoping that will help pay out in the future. But with all the expenses we're looking at about a $10,000 bill for this next year, which will put us about $2,300 or $2,400 in the hole. And as we look to the future, we've got to really start figuring out how we might be able to bring in additional individuals. The only income that we really have at this point in time that's significant is the dues that our members pay. And so we've had a lot of individuals who have been members over the time. We'd like to be able to hope that they will stay with us. Our dues that are not really very large. I think we charge, what is it, $52 now? Or 50? Yeah, it's $50. So that's a very low amount for what we gain as veterinarians, being able to represent the veterinary profession in the food safety and public health arena at the AVMA. Next slide. Other accounts that we do have a small savings account. We actually move most of our money out of our savings account and put it into a CD so that we could gain a greater interest rate on that. And it's played out pretty well over the course of this year. We've actually increased about $400, almost $500 in interest this year, which is like having 10 new students or 10 new members. So, but I think overall, I think it's really good. I have a concern that we'll have to start digging into this in about 3 years if we can't get reduce or increase our income or reduce our expenses. Our Dan LaFontaine Memorial Scholarship is in a separate fund. And this is what we estimate. We've been giving out $1,000 scholarship each year. I think that is it. Is there any questions that anybody has at this time?
If you have any questions, please raise your hand or place them in the chat. And I'm not seeing any crop up. So thank you so much, Dr. Vest, for your treasurer's report. Next up, we have Dr. DeBonis with the Communication Committee report.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna DeBonis, and right now I am serving as sort of an interim editor for the next several months. We have, again, to talk about the website, we have a website that really has a lot of content that is available as resources, and we'll talk about that some more in a moment. But the two next things that are really interesting to note is that we have changed our format on our newsletter, which was quarterly, and it was quite a long newsletter, about 30 pages, and contained the bulk of which was probably about 20 abstracts from peer-reviewed articles. Of course, those articles are extremely important and very interesting. So in order to condense that into something, in order to condense that into something that would be a little bit more palatable, we've switched to a weekly format and included a more of a human interest side, which it really is very appealing to people because they have the opportunity to talk about specific things like any jobs that might be available, more continuing education. And this brings it into kind of a current events type of a format. Before being quarterly, it was kind of hard to keep ahead of things like when a monthly continuing education opportunity came up, for example. So the weekly news brief has been met with a real positive critique. As far as social media, I've gone ahead and added 2 other platforms. One is Instagram and the other is TikTok. The idea is that it is more appealing to the younger demographic, particularly our students. Our veterinary students are really, for the most part, on Instagram and TikTok both. They do go into LinkedIn more as a professional type of a thing where they'll post their resume and so forth, and in the hopes of getting a job and so on. But you know, clearly on a day-to-day basis, they are looking at Instagram and TikTok. Facebook is, of course, been around a long time, and we just cannot do without it. We do have also YouTube channel and Spotify podcast. So those are more for lodging our interviews that we have with our members. Next slide, please. Thanks. So in regards to our website, we do have a job board. It is available for anyone to post without any cost. Now, this is important because quite often we hear about jobs within our own field more quickly than it would populate out, let's say, onto the AVMA career website, as an example. So this is an opportunity for networking and to help our colleagues get a jump on good careers in food safety and public health. So I do encourage everyone to take a look at the very least at the job board. If you have any questions about how to post a job, please reach out to myself or Catherine, and we will be more than happy to help on that. But it is extremely simple to do. We have a calendar with continuing education and meetings posted. The continuing education is typically from our collateral organizations that we have all joined together with 3 or 4 other organizations in order to have continuing education on a monthly basis that's free. But that does not preclude us from posting other free continuing education opportunities that are out there. For example, the CDC has a monthly one that is for free. Online applications for scholarships for our students has been extremely popular. And I want to give a nod again to what Kelly Vesta talked about in regards to particularly the LaFontaine Scholarship. This has brought us incredible recognition amongst veterinary students. And it's been an opportunity for us just to really begin to promote and work on our mentorship program with our students, and also as a legacy for the work that Dr. LaFontaine had put forth towards the veterinary medical fields. So we want to continue that and to remind people that they have the opportunity to consider donating to that as well. The social media links are listed on our website, and I do post that on every single news brief. And I do request that people look at those social media links. If you are on any of those platforms, please make sure that you follow us. The online membership renewal is super simple. We did have, as was stated previously, a glitch in the renewal process, and that's been rectified now. However, that does mean that we have to ask each one of you individually to, as Dr. Demery said, reach out to colleagues, make sure everybody has renewed. It's a very simple process, and we really need to have that renewal to continue forward as a viable organization. We post our newsletter archives, and I have to tell you that a number of our members have stated that they're extremely happy that they can go back and take a look at past newsletters, particularly because of the peer-reviewed articles that are posted. And then we have a member directory. And again, this is an opportunity for you to network with colleagues. Next slide, please. So there may be some confusion about why we are even doing these interviews for our YouTube and Spotify. We just go ahead and take the opportunity to get information out there to the veterinary community, particularly students, yes, but also our colleagues who are looking at different career paths. They might be at a crossroads and trying to decide what other avenues are available. It's not easy to navigate when you're looking at other opportunities and wondering how you can get into a career in food safety and public health. It's not very straightforward. But what we can see by looking at the past 20 some interviews that have been done is that there is opportunity for mentorship from our colleagues in this organization. So let me just say very clearly, and this is very important, the fact is that this channel for YouTube, which gives the visible interview, And then for those who prefer listening on Spotify, it gives people the opportunity to really relate one-on-one with what is available out there, and to understand that there is hope if they're in a crisis situation and they just can't take where they are anymore. This shows them that there is opportunity and a way forward. And so I urge all of you that when you are on other types of platforms, for example, Facebook, I quite often end up posting in Facebook on DVM Facebook groups where people are confused and they're feeling really stuck. I post this channel and people do join it. They follow and listen, and it gives them a feeling of hope and an understanding that veterinary medicine offers far more than we ever thought when we were in college, for in vet school particularly. So please take the opportunity and save these links. They are in the news brief every time, and they are in my tagline when I do email out. And in fact, consider putting them in your tagline when you write out emails, if you are able to do so. Next slide, please. Invitation to join the communication committee, because I'll tell you, I can't do it alone. I can post out to social media, but that's like shouting into the void. It's one voice. It's practically useless. I do need people to amplify. Even if you are not in our committee or an active member, if you just simply will repost things that I put out there, that helps tremendously. Creating content, you don't necessarily, again, have to be part of our committee, but it does help tremendously if you are, because it does give you a focus to consider consistently creating content. And that would be in regards to your experiences in food safety and public health. We want to hear your story. Reach out to me, and we can certainly do an interview at any point. And just simply help us with any new ideas for how to get information about the AAFSPHV out to the universe. So we're very welcoming, and we appreciate any help with that. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bonis. We really appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to our communications efforts, for sure. So we continue to put calls out for our members to share their knowledge in a variety of ways, and we're always looking to know who our subject matter experts are, so we can call on you when an opportunity arises. And we all know how easy it is to miss one announcement or a call for speakers buried in our email inboxes somewhere. So as your chair of the Education Committee, Dr. Pam Abney and I have been co-chairing this committee this year, and we are continuing that Speakers Bureau that I just described. Members, as you've heard already, get access to 10 CE credits a year through our partnership with ACVPM, NAFV, and now NASPHV to provide virtual in-person CE, which is a great benefit to our membership. ACVPM does take suggestions, and we have successfully used our wide networks across these 4 organizations to provide excellent speakers for these virtual webinars in the past. We had a successful AVMA convention this year and food safety symposium, and we had the most participation of our members and a record number of abstract submissions for AVMA 2024. So thank you all for participating. We are excited for our 2025 program in Washington, D.C. as well. And if you'd like to join the Education Committee or any committee or council, please reach out via email to president@aafsphv.org. I know Pam and I will be monitoring that email moving forward as she takes over and steps into that president role next year, and we will continue to get you engaged in our organization. As you've heard already, there are a multitude of committees and councils, and we're always needing new members. Dr. Abney, did you want to add anything else to this?
No, I just want to say, Angela, you've done a fantastic job, yeoman's job. It's a tremendous amount of work, and I applaud you for that. I do want to actually make a call though for our membership, because part of the program and the deal with the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine is that we provide some speakers. So, you know, we do have a call for that, and I have a couple that Dr. Lehman via Dr. Bear is going to be talking about an accredited, what an accredited veterinarian does when you call them out and they take over a case, the steps they go through, which I think is going to be interesting for those of us who are accredited and may be called to work. And I think Dr. Slavinsky, who is, she's the public health veterinarian for New York City. She's also on AVMA's rabies task force, and they have a new compendium that's coming out. And so I think she's probably going to be doing a talk on kind of what's new and some of the new recommendations for 2025. And I know that Catherine posts on our website, we'll have posted on the website upcoming speakers and times, and occasionally the times do get adjusted based on the speakers' availability. So just be aware of that and make sure you check to make sure that the hour hasn't been changed, for example. And that's all for me. Sorry about the mowing. I can't control the HOA mowing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abney. Oh my goodness, it's always something with these Zoom webinars for sure. But yeah, and thank you for letting us know an update on the USDA accreditation information, where we might, we can look forward to potentially some additional CE there as well. And again, to get the RACE approved CE, you must attend online at the time the webinar is scheduled. But if you're just interested in the recording and you weren't able to join, you won't be getting CE credit, but they were posting to their YouTube channel and it's likely still there. Members will register through the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine with a link included in their announcement, and you'll just do a drop down that you're one of our members. All right, and then Dr. Waters will be filling in for Dr. Jane Lewis on the Student Outreach Committee update.
Hey, hello again. So I'm going to present Jane's information to you. Her Student Outreach Committee, I keep them pretty busy between the LaFontaine Scholarship and the AVMA and VLC scholarships. They have 11 members and always welcoming new members, and also 2 new graduates, which we appreciate any new graduate or student participation in our committees. In 2024, they evaluated the applications of 12 for the Dan LaFontaine Memorial Scholarship, and we have a student at Texas A&M named Taylor Peyton Williams who was selected for that. And the other scholarship was awarded to one of our members to go to the AVMA Veterinary Leadership Conference last January. This year, we'll be looking at giving some financial support for a student to attend the AVMA meeting, which will be in July in Washington, D.C. And I think it's being held jointly with the World Small Animal Veterinary Meeting. So I think that that will be a great opportunity for one of our student members to have some support to probably be one of the more interesting meetings held for the AVMA recently because of that world component, many veterinarians from other countries, lots of opportunities to meet and hear speakers from other countries. So we do encourage students to join and to take advantage of the continuing education. We are also working on a better, stronger mentorship program and a speakers bureau for the students. And I know these are things that Jane would like to be able to devote more time to. She recently changed jobs, and as we all know, that takes a huge chunk of time when you change jobs, but hopefully we'll find some more focus in those areas. Now, I wanted to give just a quick update. We've had, we said, very good applicants, and it was difficult for Jane and the committee, but they were able to select Peyton Taylor Williams. And Peyton was with us when the meeting started. And excuse me, but I'm taking just a minute. It looks like she had to leave. And this maybe, she is an active veterinary student right now, and we know that sometimes the pull's on your time. So I am going to introduce Peyton and tell you a little bit about her. She is from Texas and graduated from West Texas A&M. She'll graduate with her degree in 2026. She works with the Texas A&M's Veterinary Education Research and Outreach Program. And she has had some other recognition of her scholarship with a Adele A. Malik Scholars recognition, and she has been an intern with FSIS. And she hopes in the future to join FSIS. So of course her career path would be very much along the lines of what our organization supports. And as she finishes her next 2 years, she'll be looking more and more for opportunities to learn more about food safety and public health. So we were pleased to present this scholarship to Peyton. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are going to segue into our representation and have reports from those members who occupy our designated seats on the House of Delegate Food Safety Advisory Committee and Legislative Advisory Committee. Next slide, please. So Kristen Clark is here to present the AVMA House of Delegates report.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Kristen Clark, and I am your AAFSPHV delegate to the AVMA House of Delegates, and I serve on that alongside Dr. Catherine Waters, who serves as our alternate delegate. Just to give a little background for anyone who's not familiar, the AVMA House of Delegates meets twice per year. It is the AVMA's governance body. So we meet once in conjunction with the Veterinary Leadership Conference in January, and then once in conjunction with the AVMA convention, which is usually in June or July during the summer. And so this is one of the most important opportunities that AAFSPHV offers because it gives us a voting voice for all food safety and public health veterinarians, not only that are members of AAFSPHV, but for the profession as a whole. So as was mentioned earlier, it's really important that we maintain this representation and are present at the table to give our subject matter expertise in those areas. So our most recent meeting, can you go back, was in Austin, Texas this past June. We had it a little bit earlier than usual. We, as usual, had our veterinary information forum, which is a platform where we have current topics that the delegates can comment on and bring comments from their membership to the floor. Sometimes there's formal action taken and sometimes there is not. And then each time we review resolutions, sometimes that is done as a routine. Every resolution is done, has a review done every couple of years. Sometimes those are new resolutions that are brought to the table. And then we hold elections in the summer session as well. So you can go to the next slide. So our veterinary information forum this last time had, I'll get to your question here, Bonnie, in just a second, but had the topics of professional liability. And I won't read this verbatim because you're all capable of doing that. And there was an article included with a summary of our House of Delegates meeting as well in the newsletter that came after the meeting took place. So you're welcome to go back and look at that on the website too. But the House of Delegates did vote unanimously to refer the topic of professional liability to the AVMA Board of Directors to investigate additional reputation management resources, and then collaborate with AVMA PLIT to educate members on programs related to liability and similar issues. And then one very important thing is that the Model Veterinary Practice Act is going to be undergoing review, or it currently is, by the Council on Veterinary Service and AVMA and its expanded working group. We didn't take any formal action on this topic, but did provide some feedback, and a lot of discussion took place about license portability between states and the duties of veterinary technicians, veterinary technologists, and other folks, and what their licenses and certifications allow them to do. Next slide, please. And then the final VIF topic was use of technology in practice. A lot of this was focused on artificial intelligence, or AI. So delegates were asked ahead of the VIF to share their experience and thoughts about what technologies they might already be using in their practices, or ones that they might be considering. AVMA did create a task force on emerging technologies and innovation that is going to work to help identify needs and strategies to support members in the use of these technologies, because there is some liability that comes with those things as well. And then wanted to mention that the delegates suggest that the Association for Veterinary Informatics be engaged with that task force moving forward. Next slide, please. And the resolutions we considered at this last meeting was Resolution 7. Again, this was done on a routine basis, so this was one that was up for review due to timing. It was the supersede policy on transport, sale yard practices, and humane slaughter of hoof stock and poultry. And then Resolution 8 similarly was up for review due to timing, so routine review, where we revised the principles of veterinary medical ethics. And revisions were done to improve clarity and usability, specifically about competent medical care and how to prioritize patient welfare in balance with client needs and public safety. And so we approved that document as revised. Next slide. And then Resolution 9. This was a new resolution that was brought to the floor by the Michigan Veterinary Medical Association, commending the role of active and reserve military veterinarians of the uniformed services. And overall, the HOD was in agreement with this resolution, but there was consensus that we wanted to make sure it encompassed veterinarians in all branches of the uniformed services, including the Commission Corps of the U.S. Public Health Service, which of course impacts this body significantly. So we did amend the language to accomplish this. And the Michigan VMA supported those changes, and the House of Delegates approved the resolution as revised. Next slide. And then our AVMA elections. Dr. Sandra Faye Butler assumed her role as AVMA president from former President Dr. Rena Carlson. For upcoming president-elect, and then vice president, which vice president is a 2-year term, so a little bit different from the president. Dr. Michael Bailey was elected as the 24-25 AVMA president-elect, and Dr. Gary Marshall was elected as, again, a 2-year term, 24 to 26 AVMA vice president. And then I made notes here about the board of directors chair, Dr. Robert Knapp, and then Dr. Sandy Willis was elected as the vice chair. For upcoming elections, so these will be voted on in Washington, D.C. this summer. We had campaign launches at the previous meeting for President-elect Dr. Mary Urgin and Jennifer Quammen. So they will be going up for President-elect, and we will vote on that in July. So believe that's my last slide. And then Dr. Buntain, I'll answer your question. You want to go to the next slide just to make sure I didn't have anything else, but
It's your last slide. You can go ahead.
Perfect. So Bonnie, to answer your question, let me read it again, make sure that I get it. So members do, every time that we have an HOD meeting, I send an email out to the listserv asking for feedback on the VIF topics. We get those ahead of time. And then, of course, any member at any time is always welcome to email me or Catherine with a concern or any issue that you want us to bring to the floor. One of the benefits of the Veterinary Information Forum is we have those topics assigned ahead of time, but they do leave a certain amount of time in the meeting for us to bring up topics that are not listed there. So we do have an opportunity to bring something to the floor from our membership, whether it's a concern, a statement. We have the opportunity to do that at every meeting. So you don't, anytime you have those concerns, you're always welcome to let us know that, and we can take those to the floor. If there's something specific that specifically impacts our body, we had that 2 summers ago. We were talking about some things that had to do with pathogens and things like that. This body had a lot of expertise in those areas. We will provide ample opportunity for you to comment. We had a lot of folks from our membership provide feedback and expertise on that was taken to the floor, as well as our reference committee meetings, which is where a lot of the discussion happens at our House of Delegates. So be looking for those emails ahead of the meetings. But again, if you have something you want us to bring to the AVMA or to the body, you're always welcome to let us know that ahead of time too. And then we do have, you have representatives in each of your states as well. So AAFSPHV represents you, but whatever state you live in, you have representatives on the House of Delegates through them too. You also get an email from them ahead of the meetings asking for feedback. You're welcome to respond to both of those. So just know that ahead of time, you'll get multiple opportunities. But Catherine and I both welcome feedback. So, and we do take those to the floor and our reference committees and let it be known. So, and thank you
so much, Dr. Clark. And I just want to add that maybe one of the easiest ways, and you can let me know if you have a different way to prefer, but if you go to the website, there is a message board and you can title it like HOD AVMA or VIF for Veterinary Information Forum. Those emails will go out to our entire membership for questions and comments, so we can kind of see how important it is to everybody, if there's any other pieces of the puzzle that other members might have concern about. And then it's also, it'll go to each of us as well. Kristen, would that be maybe the best way to get that information out and start the conversation? Unless it's
that's fine too. I know some people know me personally, so just easier to shoot me an email, and that's fine too. So I think,
and you can find her contact information, our membership directory as well. So that would be another plug for how to use our website.
Yes, use the website. It's very user friendly. So yes, that's totally fine. Same with elections too. If you have a particular candidate you prefer, let us know that. We want to hear from you on that too. So thank you.
Cool. No, thank you so much. This is a really important topic and discussion, and I just wanted to make sure everybody not only knew to reach out, but how to reach out. And thank you for that comprehensive report and all of your hard work this year. Next up, we have our Food Safety Advisory Committee. And I think we've got Dr. Paulo Mahoila. I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly, here to present that. Do you want to? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Paulo Mahoila, and I'm representing the association in the Food Safety Advisory Committee. And I just want to go through some slides just to kind of show you the work that we have done this year and some of our planning for next year. So just as a background for someone who is not fully familiar with the Food Safety Advisory Committee, our responsibility is to advise the board of directors on food protection issues such as food safety, food defense, and food security. We also serve as a lead AVMA body on food safety issues, programs, and priorities. We also lead the AVMA body regarding the safety of animal feed and pet food products. So not just human-related products or issues. And also, if we have any questions, we always confirm with experts and prepare policy recommendations. So a lot of the work that we do is either by reviewing current policies, AVMA policies, but also new policies that are recommended by either the board of directors or even from outside external sources that ask for help. And AVMA found important to develop like either an internal opinion or also a policy. Next slide. So also, I just want to glance that we are working with different associations when we do policies or when we interact with other food safety advisory members. right? So you have on the screen there, we have different folks that work with us as part of members that are dealing with different associations or helping different associations. So we have the American Feed Industry Association. We also doing some work with the American Association for Feed Controls Officials. We also have a person that is part of the Codex Committee on Residues of Veterinary Drugs and Foods. So our members, they don't just work with the Food Safety Advisory Council, but also they help support other industry associations or even like international associations. Next slide. So one of the work that we have done, and one of the members, Dr. Sharko, she's participating in the Codex Committee on Food Hygiene. And, you know, throughout the several years, she has been working, or we have another member working and been participate. So we have a seat in that committee. And I just put in the screen there several of the different projects, standards, and policies that Codex developed along the years, which it's tailored to what we do and specific to, you know, food safety and veterinary food safety. So, you know, we had some work that was done about guidelines for control of Shiga toxin producing E. coli. There was some work done also on leafy greens and vegetables, raw milk cheeses and sprouts. We did some work on the guidelines for safe use and reuse of water, food production, and so on, right? So there are several, like I mentioned, guidelines that were developed by the Codex, and we help them and we provide some feedback and expertise on those different guidelines and standards. Next slide. So one of the policies that we've developed this year is the therapeutic pet food health claims, right? This is in progress. We receive a lot of feedback from different members. So that's why it's taking like a few extra months to get this policy completed. But basically, our stance is that AVMA will support state and federal regulation of cat and dog food products intended to be fed as the pet source diet. They can also claim to treat or prevent disease as food. When the food product is made available to the public only through licensed veterinarians or through retails or internet sales to individuals purchasing the product under the direction of veterinarian. So there was a lot of work that was done. And through that, what we're doing is that we're developing like a resource document, which is like a working document that will be annexed to this policy. The policy, when we try to write a policy, we try not to make it more than like 1 page long. But you know, some of those policies, there are a lot of information in there that we need to provide more details. And when that happens, similar to, I believe last year I mentioned about the raw milk policy, right? It's the same. So we have one single policy, there's about 1 page, but then we have a resource document that it's attached to this policy that will have like 10, 15 pages that will provide more guidance to whomever wants to know more about that specific policy or wants to follow that policy. We're also working on the proposed copper label claim language, which this was a request from a different organization that asked AVMA to provide some comments. So we're working to provide those comments, and we have some experts on copper and toxicology as part of the Food Safety Council, and they're helping us to do that. Next page. So we are also providing comments on some of those documents that are either developed by FDA or SDA. So one example is FDA Pre-Market Animal Food Ingredient Review Program, right, which is about the FDA's Animal Food Grass Notification Program to allow individuals and firms to notify FDA that they have concluded an animal food substance as grass. So that policy, and I put a link in there. If you have a copy of this presentation, you can just click on the link, or you can go to the Federal Register and search for that. So that's basically FDA wants to revamp their grass program. and they're asking different organizations for feedback. And, of course, one of the organizations they reached out was AVMA, and they forward that request to the Food Safety Council. So this specific request is in progress. Again, if you have any comments, if you want to check that as the other also standards that we're working on and policies. If you have any questions or any comments, anything that you want to provide based on your experience, feel free to reach out to either one of us from the association, or you can send me like an email. I think my email is actually one of those slides, and we're going to be more than welcome to participate in one of those discussions when we talked about the GRAS policy and the requests from FDA. Next slide. We're working on this is going to be more like a guidance document about PFAS. So I put explanation there in the slide. So basically, there's a lot of conversations, a lot of media behind those PFAS. And because of that, we start receiving a lot of questions. We don't have a specific policy on PFAS. So, and a lot of the research has been done the last 5 years, 10 years. And because it's a hot topic, every year there's more and more research coming through. So what we're planning to develop is more like a FAQ, which we're going to have some basic questions such as, exposition of animals to PFAS. How does affect animals? Is it included or can be included in a pet food? Can be included in the packaging? How can I protect my pet against PFAS? What are the regulations that I have in my state or, federal regulations related to PFAS for the environment, but also that can affect the animal food production. So we received several questions from different stakeholders, and we're trying to compile those questions and develop answers based on different criteria, but also reaching out to experts, right? Because a lot of those questions, they're very hard to answer. Like, have a question about how can I protect my pets and animals, right? There's not really a way to protect right now, but we don't want to say that. We don't just want to try to explain to the audience, whomever is going to be reading this working document, that what they can do to at least minimize that, or what they can do to verify that specific package or product has been tested or not, if there's any test available. So I see some comments or questions on the chat. Yeah, let me go through my last slide, and then I think we can go through the questions. I think that's better. I think this is actually my last slide. So there is also a movement around the Food Safety Advisory Council to develop like a working session, more like a work group during the AVMA conference next year. So if you have any topic that is related to food safety and it's animal related, please reach out to me, and I will forward to the person that is leading that from the Food Safety Advisory Council. We're trying to find people that like to present for about 20 minutes. Again, the topics right now, they're open as long as they're related to food safety and related to animal health and food safety. So any questions on my presentation? I believe there's a few in the chat there. Sorry, I can't see that.
That's okay. The question is, are the approved guidelines from the Food Safety Advisory Committee posted on the AVMA website, or were those still in the works that you had mentioned?
Yeah, so those are in the works, but the ones that are finished, yeah, so all the policies that are updated into the AVMA website. And if there is a guidance or a guideline linked to that policy, there is a link in the AVMA website, in the policy page for the AVMA website, that you can actually download that specific guideline. Yeah. But those that are mentioned in my presentation, yeah, it's still in the works, right? So we're planning to finish them either end of this year or around mid next year.
Great, thank you so much. And then they will go on from the committee to the board of directors for approval. Once they're approved at a board of directors meeting, then they will be posted to the AVMA website.
That's right, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your hard work on the Food Safety Advisory Committee and your thorough update today. Next, we have a report from the AVMA Legislative Advisory Committee. Is Dr. Fannin still available?
She is not I'm sorry. Dr. Fanninstill reached out to me this morning. She has a bit of a medical emergency. And so we are very fortunate to have our alternate delegate, Dr. Abney, to present the.
Yes, hey there. And I hope, Michelle, I'm not sure what's going on, and these are the slides she submitted, but I just wanted to, I guess for the sake of time, just talk about the LAC, or Legislative Advisory Committee, is, established to help the AVMA, in particular the Government Relations Division, decide and determine policy that is being introduced on Capitol Hill and what we support, monitor, or choose not to support. We don't say oppose, but we say non-support. And, it is, this committee is very vital and does make recommendations to the Board of Governors. They are very widely represented, and we'll talk about that, I think, on the next slide. They meet in person once a year and by Zoom 2 to 3 times a year at different times, and occasionally on an emergency basis. And so, yeah, here's our charge and objective. And, you can read this for yourself, but it is something that is very important. Just something as a side note too, depending on the issue, other councils and committees, for example, the Animal Welfare Committee or the Council on Vet Services, there may be an issue, COPTA, the Drug Council on Biologics and Therapeutics. There may be issues that come up that are important. If they meet before the LAC does, then they will formulate a position and maybe issue a brief to them that then comes to the LAC to help them formulate a response that then goes on to the Board of Governors. So it's kind of a, it's a complicated process. I think there are, oh my gosh, before the committee, we receive pages and pages and pages of information and issue briefs, the legislation itself. And the GRD does issue a 30 to 35 page update on a lot of these issues. So a little too much to go into here, but if any of you are interested, let me know and I can provide that additional information. So just to talk about groups that are represented in the LAC, we are one of them, and this is a very important position for us. It's one of the, we have an automatic seat on the Legislative Advisory Committee, and it's an important place to be. And assuming we are able to keep our seat in the House of Delegates, then we will be able to have input through the Legislative Advisory Committee, Food Safety Committee, you just heard from, Council on Antimicrobials, and of course, the seat in the House of Delegates. Also, just as a note, members are bound by AVMA's confidentiality, conflict of interest, harassment and discrimination-free workplace, and other policies. As with a lot of committees that deal with sometimes controversial issues, we meet, we hammer it out, we discuss it, and then whatever issues or position is developed is what we go forward with to the Board of Governors and to our membership. These discussions are not meant to be politicized or put out on Facebook or TikTok. And so, that's the need for the agreement that, we discuss these things, but this is important. We do have differences of opinion. veterinary medicine is a very, very, very diverse profession. And the fact that we have a seat here for input is critical and a very good place to be. And the background, we have a website here. The policies are posted on the website, and there we go. Yeah, topics of discussion. Oh my Lord. I guess the most important thing, a lot of these depend on who introduced the bill. Does the bill actually have a chance of going somewhere? Does it have bipartisan support? Were we asked to comment on the bill by members of Congress? Sometimes that does happen, or is it something that's very vital to our profession that affects us, affects the business of veterinary medicine? And just something that's kind of important. I think the next slide, please. Okay, these are more, I don't know if anybody has any questions on these. None of these have passed. The Farm Bill in particular, though, I do want to say the Farm Bill should have passed this year. It has not. It has a lot of programs and policies and support and monies for programs that are very vital to us. And it's kind of become a political football. But we're hoping that something will happen. If nothing else, a CR. The fly-in dates, Cheryl here put possibly in April, but the last I heard is that they may actually try to do a fly-in in conjunction with the AVMA convention in July. So that is to be determined, and we'll have that on our website. So I think I'll stop there for the sake of time. And if you have any questions, I don't see any. No. Get back to me, and I'll get the information to you. My brain just doesn't hold it all right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abney. And I guess the take-home message is to see what a breadth and depth of topics and issues that come before our Congress, and how important it is that we have very diverse representation on the Legislative Advisory Committee to include, food safety and public health. Because often, if it's not directly related to food safety or public health, there is a tangential relationship as well. And to have our voices represented and heard are quite important. And as you know, oftentimes within the Farm Bill are public health issues such as, CDC puppy import regulations and other things that do have a public health impact as well. So just wanted to share and that, sort of, again, why it's so important that we maintain our membership in the AVMA is Dr. Pam Abney had discussed as well.
Do we have time for a funny?
Can we hold it to the end? We've got about 12 more slides to get through, and
okay.
We're just to 90 minutes today, but yeah, I think that would be a great way to end the meeting for sure. Next up on the Committee on Antimicrobials, is Dr. Innes available?
Yes, he is.
Hi, yes. My name is Gabriel. Thanks so much. I'll present a little bit on the Committee on Antimicrobials. I'm the primary, along with my alternate, Dr. Amanda Bedoin. Just a snippet in terms of the time commitment. We're one of the most productive and most engaged committees that AVMA offers. We have monthly committee meetings, and twice a year in April and October, we meet in person, which amounts to about 4 days and 11 hours of in-person actual meeting time. And outside of those meetings, we have subcommittees. We do a lot. We're very productive in terms of the materials that we roll out. We send recommendations to the LAC. We talk about all subjects, either directly or indirectly related to antimicrobial use and resistance in the veterinary practice, and as it relates to public health as well. Next slide, please. So this is a small snippet of the 2024 activities and accomplishments. We have 5 board of director recommendations, 1 board of director recommendations for legislation. We have responded to 8 external stakeholder requests. We've conducted 4 presentations and advocacy activities. we've delivered 3 resources to the profession through AVMA, either through webinars or through the AVMA website itself, through Marcom. And we have 2 projects in progress right now. So we recently, earlier this year, released a slew of documents on antimicrobial susceptibility testing, where I had led the committee regarding how to release and communicate what AST is and when it should be performed, and how to query AST technologies to their microbiologists, to laboratorians. There's a huge deficiency in terms of what AST is, how to use AST. There's a problem in terms of sometimes on printouts of antimicrobial susceptibility tests, there are antimicrobials listed that essentially are not used for that bacteria. So understanding when and when not to use antibiotics, of course, is incredibly important and sometimes lost on the veterinary profession at large. We also co-wrote as a committee the Animal Drug Shortages Limit Veterinary Therapeutic Options and Introduce Artifacts in Antimicrobial Sales Reporting. This was a JAVMA publication again earlier this year, which was headed by Dr. Rebecca Robbins. Next slide, please. And then in the pipeline, the COA, which is the Committee on Antimicrobials, has begun a 5-year review of AVMA resources. And you can find, I think these PowerPoint slides will be delivered after the meeting, but this is essentially the first iteration of it linked here. And the anticipated completion of the project is the summer of 2025. Essentially, it's trying to understand the drivers of antimicrobial resistance and some of the main players of bacteria that drive antimicrobial resistance and different in the different areas of veterinary medicine. That could be swine, it could be cattle, it could be fish. And then also the COA is discussing developing several resources for AVMA membership about carbapenem-resistant enterovirales or CRE. Next slide, please. And then also, I've generally gone to the co-discussion message board located on the AAFSPHV website, garnering and requesting and soliciting your expertise and thoughts regarding house bills, regarding LAC recommendations, regarding some takes for the larger sort of international, understand the UN conferences. So any of your, and those are all regarding antimicrobial resistance and antimicrobials and their use for veterinary medicine. We've also talked in the committee about the new USDA policy about salmonella becoming an adulterant and how that affects antimicrobial use and microbial resistance as well. So as I write and query the organization, please, I really respect and appreciate your response. I believe that's it from me. And of course, I'm happy to take any questions or thoughts. You can find my email address on the AAFSPHV portal as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. We really appreciate your time and efforts. And, you know, to be out of this committee was a JAVMA publication, just goes to show how important this particular committee is to our membership as well. So really appreciate all of your hard work and efforts this past year. And next up, we have the presentation of our 2024 Public Health Veterinarian of the Year Award. As Dr. Waters mentioned earlier, Dr. Will Sander is not available to present this award today, so she will be presenting the award on his behalf to our recipient.
Yeah, so I get the fun parts of the annual meeting, which is talking about the scholarships and awards that let us, honor both students and veterinarians working in this area. And we put out a call in the summer for nominees for Public Health and Food Safety Veterinarian of the Year. And this year we had 6 nominees. So we do keep our committees busy when looking at the scope of veterinarians that are out doing outstanding work in this area. And this year's award is in recognition of the work that Dr. Stephen Recant is doing. And I'll just provide a quick quote from the person, one of our members who nominated Dr. Recant. His unwavering dedication, leadership, and intellectual prowess embody the qualities exemplified by past recipients of the AAFSPHV Veterinary Public Health Award. His contributions have not only elevated the mission of USDA APHIS, but have also had a tangible impact on stakeholders nationwide. So we, as you can see from the previous slide, we do honor Dr. Recant with an announcement. We will publish our awardees information in the JAVMA and post it on our website. And we provided Dr. Recant with a plaque that hopefully he can stick on his office and look up sometimes whenever work seems overwhelming. You can think, well, I am recognized for all the work that I do. And so that is the Public Health Veterinarian of the Year Award.
Thank you so much, Dr. Waters. And it looks like Dr. Recant couldn't join us today or had to leave the meeting early. So we do thank him for his work, and he's already received his plaque, as you can see from the prior photo. So we're very excited about that. And so to wrap up our meeting this year, sort of looking ahead, you know, we're continuing on with our strategic plan. And as we look ahead to 2025, many of our activities have been finalized. So such as speakers for the AVMA convention. However, many others are ongoing efforts, such as implementation of a strategic plan and communications plan in particular, part of which included the modernization of our website, and those efforts are ongoing. And then now engagement as social media as part of that strategic plan. But you know, we're just going to continue to build on the hard work of all of those who came before, and it will be continued on by those who follow us in these leadership roles for our organization, excuse me. And 2 very important pillars that keep emerging as priorities are having this comprehensive strategic plan, including a communication plan and best ways to engage and grow our membership. So thank you, Dr. DeBonis, for continuing on your legacy as past president and now helping with the social media and editor content. And if you'd like to participate in these or have ideas, please, again, forward on these ideas to president@aafsphv.org. We really value your involvement, as you've heard multiple times today. And of course, the best ideas, no doubt, come from our members, right? So you're the ones that are engaging with the website, engaging with our content, and using it in varied ways. So understanding what your needs are and how we can best meet your needs will definitely help us to continue to become a robust, sustained organization. And we look forward to another great year with Dr. Pam Abney as president. Again, here are some of the open positions that we have available. So if you're interested in any of these officer or director terms, or sitting on a committee and understanding a little bit more about how our organization works, we definitely welcome you. And very exciting, we have a link tree. So if you're wondering where to access all these great social media platforms, YouTube, website, it's all linked through Linktree. And so it's linktr.ee/AAFSPHV will take you to a website with all the links handy and available for you. And now we can take any questions, hear some funny stories, and look forward to another great year. Thank you all for joining us.